I want to talk to you about the enemy of men everywhere, okay? I've got a lot of men in the channel. If you're a man, put a 1 in chat. And whether you're in site chat or gutter chat, site chat is visible on stream, gutter chat is not visible on stream. If you're a man, put a 1 in the chat, okay? I want all my men to rise up, all my brave, masculine men or non-masculine men, femboys are appreciated too. I want to inform you guys of an enemy of man, an enemy of men, okay? I want to make sure that you guys can look out for somebody who views you guys as predators, as creeps, as dangerous, as awful, and would never allow you near children. And I'm talking about the #1 enemy of men in America, Matt Walsh. So recently, Matt Walsh was hosting his show, which is very creatively named the Matt Walsh Show. I really have no room to speak, though, considering my channel is called DylanBurnsLIVE, very original. Anyway, he was hosting his show, and he started to talk about the topic of babysitting and who you allow and not allow to babysit your children. And he went on a short rant on why he would never allow anybody, like any man, to babysit his children, that most people would never allow men to babysit their child. And this, we can extrapolate from this that it's probably a bad idea to allow men to raise children, as in a gay couple. Because if you wouldn't allow men to babysit your child, then why would you allow men to raise a child? Let's listen to what he has to say.
I would not hire a man to babysit my kids for 2 hours so that my wife and I can go out for dinner. I would never do that. Now, if there's a man who's a close family member, a close friend who I know very well and trust, it's obviously different. But I would not hire, when it comes to like hiring a babysitter, someone you don't really know, and you're hiring someone, this is what they do for a job, and you're bringing them in to watch your kids. I wouldn't hire a man for that. And almost no parent would or ever has.
What does that even mean? Why would you not hire a man? What is it about men specifically that makes them completely, under no circumstances, fit to babysit a child? And when he says almost no parent ever has, is that due to the fact that men are just bad at babysitting, or they're dangerous, or they're like predators, which is kind of what it feels like is kind of almost being implied here. That's the kind of general vibe I'm getting, even though I'm not hearing it explicitly. Is that because, you know, men are dangerous and evil, or is it because we have certain, you know, maybe social beliefs about who should and shouldn't be like raising children, that raising children is woman's work, babysitting children is woman's work? The same reason why a lot of people might say they've never had a male nurse attend to them. Is that because male nurses are just like, because of their testosterone, they're just bad at like taking care of patients? Or is it because they just don't dominate the industry because of certain social pressures or social expectations that we hold men to? So this is a very weird standard to say you would never let a man babysit your child. I mean, this is making me, this assumes that there was a scenario where somebody has like 1,000 good reviews on some like nanny website, a good guy, 1,000 reviews, has babysit basically everyone in the community, and you know, he's really good at what he does. He's offering you a better price than the other options, and you're going to avoid that guy because he has he's a man. He's a guy. He's a dude. Duder. Why? What's the problem? I think men can be quite good at not only raising children, but also watching after them if they're skilled at that and if they're responsible. Same is true for women. There's a lot of bad babysitters out there who don't care about children or just doing it as a part-time job. And I don't think gender at all plays a factor. In fact, just due to women's domination and you know, babysitting, I would assume there's more women who are irresponsible babysitters than men. Just statistically, that would be the case. I don't know why this standard that men can't complete this task, and most parents would never ever be okay with a man looking after their children. Women, that's fine. Women, you know, well, obviously a woman, like that's, you know, that's different for whatever reason. Men, though, dangerous.
So they could hear that and say, oh, that's, I don't, well, no, almost no parent would. You know, you go on some babysitter service and, you know, you're looking for a nanny service or whatever it is, and there's a lot of them out there, and you're looking for someone to care for your kids. If you see a man's profile come up, you're scrolling right past that one. Almost everyone does. Because again, it's about putting your kid in any situation in the most ideal possible situation. You're playing the odds, you're looking at statistics.
What are we really going to say that across the board, just not choosing a man is the best option here? I would say that if we're like, he's talking about statistics and generalities. Well, if you look at statistics, men on average do this or women on average do that. That's not how you should be employing people. That's a terrible idea to how you employ people. And I would assume as a conservative, and how much I hear conservatives like harp on about like Martin Luther King Jr., but will like maybe take one or two quotes from him, and it's just like the one quote, like, I want people to be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. You know, that's like the one thing you hear repeated is the one quote, the one MLK quote you hear a lot from conservative commentators. Why would that not also apply here? Or if you're choosing someone to be a babysitter, you shouldn't be choosing them based upon arbitrary characteristics like they're a man or they're a woman or they're white, they're black, anything like that. It should be based upon the reviews that have been left on the website, based upon conversations with other people that this person has babysat for, based upon their hours of availability and how much they're charging, what type of children they're best with. Are they best with toddlers? Are they best with preteens? Are they best with teenagers? If your teenager is irresponsible, can't look after himself for some other reason, I don't know. Like, these are the factors that should be coming into account when you choose a babysitter. Not, oof, he has everything I want, but he's a man, so I got to keep looking. What a ridiculous standard. I mean, this is, it almost comes like as like an anti-man statement. Like, I would hire a man here, but statistically men are worse when it comes to sexual abuse. Therefore, because he's talking about statistically, if we're talking about statistical average, therefore, I'm just going to completely say 50% of the population just cannot babysit children. It's ridiculous.
And so, you know, almost no one would hire a male babysitter to babysit their kids, and yet we're.
I reject that. By the way, I think if you polled this, would you ever let a man babysit your child? Would you ever let a male babysitter babysit your child? I think the majority of parents would say yes. I do not think the majority of them would say no. I disagree with that notion. I think he's kind of in a bubble here.
We're giving male couples kids to adopt.
Wait, let's go back. That was a big jump.
Who babysit their kids, and yet we're giving male couples kids to adopt.
That's the thing. The interesting thing is, if you poll the majority of Americans, because he can't make the argument, like his argument is kind of almost like a basic kind of like disgust argument, like, oh, a man looking after your child, that's ridiculous. Oh my God, it should be a woman, right? He's like a basic disgust response. The majority of parents would never let a man babysit their child, and he's using that as a device to make an argument against men being able to adopt children, like gay men, which is the argument, like male couples, gay couples. He's saying like, well, you know, the majority of people would not let their child be taken care of by a man, but we're going to let gay men raise children? Why is that allowed? Seems to be the argument being made here. But he had to go this roundabout way when he's talking about the majority of parents would not let their kids be sought after or, you know, protected or guarded in any way by a nanny if the nanny's a man. And he has to do it this way, because if he was directly to say, what's the polling on allowing gay couples to adopt? The vast majority of Americans are okay with gay couples adopting children. The vast majority. If you look at the amount of children that need homes, most Americans understand that whether it's a gay couple or a straight couple, these kids need a home, and undercutting the ability for these kids to get adopted out when if you're not adopted out as a child and you just age out of the adoption center, like your rates for homelessness are like crazy numbers, like 40%, 50%, like very, very high rates for homelessness, high rates for drug addiction, high rates for crime, high rates for basically every single negative social like problem you could imagine. It's extremely high rates if you age out of the adoption system, and you're going to choose to have more people age out of the adoption system, more children age out of it, and basically turn 18 and go to drug dens, or go live on the street, or go become a criminal, or go get addicted, whatever it is. You're going to choose that over that child being adopted by a loving gay couple because you personally are uncomfortable with a man looking after your child if they're a nanny, no matter how good the reviews are, because you assume that statistically that would just be a bad idea. What a ridiculous standard. And he has to make this argument in a roundabout way, because if we were to start with just a question, are the majority of people okay with gay people adopting? They would say yes. So he has to find this roundabout way to try to pretend this is the populist move. This is what the majority of people want, is for people not to allow gays to adopt. He's trying to do this roundabout way, saying, well, I wouldn't personally be okay with any man looking after my child. And I assume the majority of parents agree with me. Therefore, gay people should not be able to raise children. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Does that make sense?
No.
Like, would you have hired these two guys to come watch your kids for a night? If you were on, let's say you're on a, babysitting nanny service or something, someone's recommended to you maybe. So, oh, you need a babysitter. And you say, well, who you got? And then they name these two 30-year-old men. Would you?
If it would depend on the reviews. You would go look at the reviews they had. It would depend upon a whole host of factors if they ended up being the choice. But gender would really not play into, and I think into a lot of people choosing their nanny.
Would you say, okay, I'll have them come babysit my kids for 3 hours? Almost nobody would, whether they admit it out loud or not.
So he doesn't have any evidence to back that up. And that's the thing. There's no data on this. There's no data like, would you allow a male to babysit your child instead of a woman? I don't think there's any data on that. There is data on the popularity of gay people adopting children, which is overwhelmingly popular. And so, again, roundabout way to make the argument to avoid this. And he's just making this assumption. He's just making this assumption, which, again, I think if you polled parents and you asked them, are there any circumstance where you would allow where you would hire a male nanny, a man to look after your child? I think the vast majority of people would say yes, because I think the vast majority of people aren't going to say, oh my God, a man watching over my child, that's too dangerous, because that's silly. Judging people by their individual content of the character, the quote everybody likes to repeat from Martin Luther King.
And yet we're adopting kids out to.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Matt Walsh is not really somebody I hold a high standard for when it comes to this type of content. But honestly, man, this is the most anti-male, anti-man stance I've seen from him in a while. And this is all while Matt Walsh, by the way, tells you that it's feminism that hates men. But Matt Walsh is saying, don't allow the men near your children to babysit them. They're just too statistically dangerous. The vast majority of people would hate that idea. Also, don't let the gays adopt. Totally not anti-man at all. Feminism's the real problem against men. They're the real people demonizing men. Absolutely ridiculous. I know many parents, nobody wants a male as a babysitter. What does that even I know many parents, nobody wants a male as a babysitter. First off, you're one person, okay? That could be your own individual experience. And second off, if somebody is genuinely saying, I'm not going to hire a male to babysit my child, I think that's fucking stupid. And I think you're kind of a little bit kind of stupid. And I'm not even saying oh, you're stupid on the level of you're just an unintelligent person, or all around raising your kids, all together. But it is stupid to make the decision that I'm not going to allow my child to be babysit by a man because what? Why? You're more stupid than me? Do you want to prove it? You want to come on and talk about it? Because earlier in the chat, you were saying that I was a liar, right? That I'm a liar, a manipulator, telling bullshit. If you want to come on, we can talk about it right now. Like, this just feels like anti-man propaganda, man. That's what it feels like to me. And plus, he's using this as an extension to talk about how gays should not be able to adopt. Which, again, another ridiculous opinion. You are too much of an extremist. Okay, to be clear, Mythalona game, okay, gutter chatter, and of course it's in gutter chat. I'm extreme because I said I would be okay with a man babysitting a child, and I think gays should be able to adopt children. That's an extreme position to you. Because if I'm going to be blunt with you, that's the position that the vast majority of people hold. Vast majority. Not even close. The person who thinks that gay people should not be able to adopt and would, just by the effect of this policy decision, would rather see those children age out of the adoption system into drug houses, onto the street. 40 to 50% of people who age out of adoption centers end up homeless. End up homeless within 24 months of them adopting out, of them aging out of the system. We're going to choose that over them finding a loving home with a gay couple. Why? Because they're men? How is that not anti-man? Where's the proof? Where's the proof of what? The proof that the majority of people, okay, gay adoption polling. This is from 2013. Where do we got more recent data? Williams Institute. This is from 2014, so we need something more up to date. Okay. Wait, this is from 2014, right here. This is from Gallup. Most Americans say same-sex couples are entitled to adopt. 63%. This is from 2014. So this is like 6 or 7 years old. In those 6 and 7 years, that number would have only risen. It's probably like around over 70% now. In fact, the right to adopt children outpaces Americans' acceptance of same-sex marriage. People were more ready to allow gay couples to adopt children than for them to get married. Why? I don't know. I think that's a little silly that outpaced the other. I guess it's because so many Americans understand how shit the adoption like centers are, like the places with like these orphanages, and like how bad they are for children when they age out. And so the need to get these children to loving homes, that personal desire of many Americans is probably greater than any homophobia they might reside in themselves, right? And I talked to a lot of conservatives who not a lot, but I talked to some conservatives who still harbor some homophobic feelings, and very few of them genuinely are also going to say gays should under no circumstance be allowed to adopt. Because even like the vast majority of people, if you just look at the data, know that somebody aging out of the adoption system is much worse than them being raised by a loving couple. And the priority for adoption should be getting children adopted, which, I mean, isn't that crazy? Not, well, let's make sure that the parents that are raising these children fuck the right way. You know, we got to make sure they got a pussy. If they don't have a pussy and a dick, then like this child's gonna be broken. If they're raised by two men, they're gonna be smashed. Their life's gonna be ruined. We'd much rather have them in a drug house or on the street homeless than with a loving gay couple. It's ridiculous. And again, people can say, but I don't want them on the street homeless. Okay, fine, good for you. But odds are, if they age out, that's a very, very likely outcome. And you could be like, well, I want this other thing or this other, or like, I would never want that to happen. That's great for you on a personal level, but on a policy implementation level, the effect of not allowing gay people to adopt would be more people ending up on the street homeless, more people getting addicted to drugs, more people dying at a young age, getting involved in criminal activity because they don't feel like they got any options, because there's nobody that's going to send them to college. Nobody's looking out for them. There's no house that they can go to that they can live at and they know they got to live at because they aged out of the system. They can't stay at the adoption system anymore. They got to go. They're an adult now. 18. See you later. So no, I don't think it's an extreme position for me to say that gay couples should have the right to adopt and that I would be fine with a man babysitting a child. These are not radical positions. If you think they are, you live in a bubble.